Well, this is my winning 11, and it's players that I've played against, played with, and managed against. And you know, over the years, I've seen quite a lot of players, and this is my best 11. In goal, Schmeichel. He just filled the goal. I think when he came to Man U, his presence. Someone said to me once, just go out and watch him warm up. He warmed up for half hour, came in, dripping, dirty, had to change every single piece of his kit. That was his warm-up before the game. So Peter Schmeichel, without doubt, the best goalkeeper that I've seen and my teams have played against. Back four, Gary Neville at right back. I think vastly underrated for the job he done. Especially when he played with Beckham, because Beckham perhaps come inside and didn't have the pace to go down the line. He come inside with the ball and Gary Neville overlapped and got played in. Great cross for the ball, but also a really good defender. And if he was up against someone that was bigger, stronger and quicker, he found a way of nullifying him. Left back, Ashley Cole. I think that the last 10 years in the Premier League, I think he was the most outstanding left back. Firstly for Arsenal. I first saw him playing for Crystal Palace on loan as a manager, and then obviously Arsenal, and then when he went to Chelsea, I think another vastly underrated player. Perhaps when you close your eyes you think of Ashley Cole as an attacking fullback, but he was a great defender. Not many people beat Ashley Cole one-on-one, and you know, he was solid performer who gave you a game week in, week out. My two centre-backs, contrasting eras. Colin Todd, who I played with at Birmingham, played for England, fantastic defender. Small for a centre-half, but physically the strongest centre-back I've seen. Great pace over 10 yards. No one ever took him on a run. He got there first, and he was a ball-playing centre-back and should have played a lot more games for England. Partnering him is Tony Adams, who I think epitomised the captain. Apart from his performances on the pitch, if you look around the Arsenal side, you knew who the captain was. He didn't have to have an armband on, it was Tony Adams. If anybody scored against Arsenal, he was the first one to remonstrate with his back four, back five, and ask the questions why. I should imagine in the dressing room, George Graham especially, and Arsene Wenger wouldn't need to give team talks with Tony Adams around. He was a complete leader. So that's my back five. I'm going for two holding midfield players who would be a bit disappointed with me for calling them holding midfield players because they were so good. They could get, their passing range was fantastic. First one's Alan Ball, who I played against many times. Best one-touch player I think I've seen. You couldn't get near him. If you tried to get near him, he bounced the ball off and then got the return. And everybody remembers him playing in the World Cup final of 1966, playing wide right. But as a central midfield player, he was fantastic. His passing range, scored a fair amount of goals, and kept everything ticking over. His partner would be Graham Souness, who, for me, pound for pound, is a midfield player that could score goals, make goals, destroy, play, and another leader. Someone who could see things going wrong on the pitch and would sort it out before the manager needed to do it at half time. He knew how to win games. He knew what was needed from him and the rest of his side. And Graham Souness, for me, was one of the best midfield players ever. I'm then going with two wide players, out-and-out wide players. One on the left is Ryan Giggs. I just think that someone with that pace, it's unnatural. That pace and skill and balance, and the way he just glided across the pitch on that left-hand side. And at a later stage of his career, reinvented himself as a midfield player. His passing range again was wonderful, short and long. Scored a fair amount of goals and made an enormous amount of goals. So he's on my left-hand side. On the right-hand side is Cristiano Ronaldo, I just think that when him and Giggs were playing for Man U, fullbacks were petrified of playing against them. Whenever they picked the ball up, you knew you was in for a bit of a chasing. And Ronaldo, when he was at Man United, was frightening. And I think that if you felt perhaps you was in charge of a game and penned Man United in, if you like, then if the ball bounced out to Ronaldo on the counter-attack, he was the quickest player running with the ball, quicker than Giggs, I think, running with the ball. Scores all sorts of goals, left foot, right foot, massive in the air, can defend set plays. So Ronaldo on the right-hand side, Giggs on the left-hand side. My playmaker, just behind the centre forward, is going to be Kenny Dalglish. I think that for someone who perhaps didn't have real pace, he was just the most fantastic continuity player. When the ball went into him, it stuck. He brought other players into the game, defence splitting passes, scored a fantastic amount of goals. And I think that the one thing that's coming out of this side I'm picking, most of these players are captains. Most of these players are winners. And Kenny Dalglish bought to replace Kevin Keegan at Liverpool. Bought to replace someone like Keegan and was a bigger name than Keegan at the end of it. Fantastic. And up front, Alan Shearer, I think in this day and age where a lot of teams play with one striker, he could handle that perfectly. Complete centre forward, right foot, left foot, dangerous in the air, and the top Premier League goal scorer of all time, and will remain the top Premier League goal scorer of all time. So that's my 11 to play anyone in the world.